Think motorcycle adventures are all sunshine and scenic routes? Think again.
Things are going great.
Join me as I break down my first crash on this 6-month trip to the Arctic, the lessons learned, and the repairs needed to get back on the road. It's not the typical story you'd expect. We've made it over 1,300 miles from our starting point in Franklin, Tennessee on this trip to the Arctic. Right now, we're riding through Colorado and headed west. The current goal is to make it to Seattle as fast as possible because I have an appointment in a few days for a same-day passport. But Seattle is still a long way away. 1,400 miles actually. And that's if I got on the freeway and didn't explore. Days on the freeway and not exploring is definitely not my style. So instead, we're gonna take a really fun route through the mountains and see some iconic national parks and get some banging photos. Today's ride is 12 hours and I'll only cover about 400 miles, but we'll get to see a total elevation change of over 19,000 feet. And the entire day will be higher than 5,000 feet above sea level. And those numbers make me smile. So we're finally in the Colorado mountains up above 8,000 feet, and I really want to take you for a little spin in the dirt. Motorcycling in Colorado and Utah is epic. This is one of my favorite regions in the United States. On-road and off-road routes will take you to and through some of the country's best landscapes.
Hey, you guys okay?
Yeah. Something weird, but
Okay. Need any help? You good?
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. That is rural delivery right there. Hi there. This is the first time that I've had the motorcycle fully loaded for the trip on dirt and gravel roads. So it is handling really nice. Super happy with it. I haven't switched it into enduro mode, still just running in road mode. And yeah, I'm digging it. At 10,500 feet, it is America's highest incorporated town. Colorado BDR is something every adventure rider should have on their bucket list. Plus, road riding in Colorado is a ton of fun too. The mountain passes are great, and it's crazy how many beautiful natural landscapes are within a day's ride once you're in central Colorado. Moab, Zion, Bryce, Grand Canyon National Parks, and Monument Valley are all within striking distance from central Colorado. I've ridden them all multiple times and I'll keep coming back. Before we talk about crashing motorcycles, let's talk about experience. I am not a world-class rider like the G-Force, Mr. Graham Jarvis, or even a great rider like Adam Raymond. I'm an average rider, and that matters because I'll crash on things those guys wouldn't. I started riding when I was 8. It was our family time on the weekends, and I got 10 years of dirt and trail riding experience as a kid. As an adult, I didn't ride in the dirt, but I logged a lot of miles on pavement. 150,000 miles on this R1100 RT, 25,000 miles on this Harley Bagger until I blew up its engine, and even 25,000 miles on this Honda CBR because some guys in their 40s want to feel like they're in their 20s again. Anyway, I've been very fortunate and haven't crashed since I was a kid. I had zero experience riding big bikes in the dirt until a few years ago when I borrowed a GS from a friend to ride the Smoky Mountain 500. Folks, if you have a friend who will let you borrow their BMW to go ride the dirt for 500 miles, that's a really good friend. Thanks again, Aztec. As I prepared for this trip to the Arctic, I knew I was very rusty in the dirt and needed some practice. Besides the Smoky Mountain 500 on my friend's GS, the only other big bike off-road experience that I had was a crazy decision to take my BMW R1100 RT off-road. And when I say off-road, I actually mean really off-road with water crossings and everything. My two friends on Triumph Tiger adventure bikes had a good laugh watching this hoonigan send the RT across the water. Needless to say, the spirit of GS has been in my blood for a long time, even before I had this one. I wanted to be prepared for taking the triple black off-road before getting to the Arctic. So right after I bought it, I rode to an off-road vehicle bar, paid the $5 entrance fee, and did exactly one day of practicing. With the bike unloaded, I spent a little time on hard-packed dirt, found a lot of soft sand, learned how the bike's different modes work, and that the Enduro Pro and Dynamic Pro settings are adjustable. What I didn't do was read the book. What I did instead was a lot of fishtailing, almost crashed several times, and even got it stuck in the sand when I attempted a hill climb. Towards the end of the practice day, I was comfortable enough to race and pass some four-wheelers. I think I won because they didn't actually know it was a race, but I'll still call it a win. I was certainly gaining confidence with the bike, but not having enough practice definitely played a role in crashing in Utah. Zero experience riding off-road when the bike was fully loaded was a major factor. The bike feels 1,000 times different when it's fully loaded than when it's empty. Loaded, it's like a freight train, but empty, you can have some real fun with it and toss it around a lot easier. With limited experience on this bike, I wasn't overconfident. I knew a crash in the dirt was going to happen at some point on the trip. I just didn't know when or where, and I certainly wanted the crash to not damage me or the bike enough where I wouldn't be able to continue the journey. I'm not great at staying hydrated when I ride long distances. When I was younger, I thought it was cool that I could ride 1,000 miles in a day. I actually did it 16 times before realizing that I don't like riding that way. Yes, you crush the miles and maybe even can brag to a riding buddy that they're weak and you're not. But riding that way requires some sacrifices. One of which is eating and hydrating in the saddle, and I never liked the taste of water in the Camelback after it had been baking in the sun for 8 to 12 hours. It tasted like drinking plastic. So I'd accept being a little dehydrated throughout the day, then grab a fresh drink at the gas stations. I've cured myself from the allure of the 1,000-mile glory days. I've learned they're far less enjoyable than taking time to soak up the journey, learning to be present along the way, experiencing the freedom of the open road at a more leisurely pace. Don't get me wrong, I still like to rip it on certain sections, whether that's 70 plus miles an hour down a dirt road like this, or scraping the chicken strips off the tires on a windy road like this. But in general, I've learned that it's more enjoyable to not rush the ride. I have not, however, cured myself from the bad habit of accepting being dehydrated while riding, which was likely a contributing factor in crashing today. After a very long riding day, you're not as fresh, not as alert. The elevation in Colorado Rockies can also contribute to your body needing more water. When you combine mental and physiological fatigue, the risk of crashing goes up. Mix in some deep sand, ruts, and an overloaded bike, and lack of experience in those conditions, it's a recipe to lay the bike over. The weather was beautiful. I wasn't battling mud or slick surfaces, but it didn't matter. I'd stacked enough things up against me that it was going to happen. Or, if you're familiar with the Swiss cheese model of mishap analysis, I'd lined up the holes perfectly, and I was going to send my GS through the middle of them.
Riding today in Colorado has been amazing. Absolutely loved it, and it has been a ton of fun. Really enjoyed the mountains, the snow. There was a few routes that I wanted to take that I couldn't, so it's a really good thing that I didn't take the backcountry discovery route right now, just because of the snow. Even up here in the northern part of Colorado, where it was supposed to be open, there were still some spots that were closed. So, anyways, we'll do that another day. I think we're just going to get on the road now, head northwest towards Teton National Park and Jackson Hole. All right, let's do it.
What are the lessons learned here? Number 1, avoid overloading your bike. I brought enough equipment that I could survive in the Arctic through the entire summer, fall, and into freezing temperatures if I stayed too long, or a storm caught me by surprise. I was prepared for anything that solo Arctic survival and self-rescue could throw at me, and that required certain gear. I didn't use a lot of it and didn't need it, like a mountaineering cot that I thought I'd really want while sleeping in a tent for 6 months. Over time, I learned I didn't want it, but I didn't know that when I started. When I had a few months and a few thousand miles experience on this trip, I had a much better understanding of what I really needed and what I didn't. I ended up shipping a lot of things home, but you'll see that later. Number 2, experience and practice. One day of practice in the dirt with a new bike was not enough for me. If you have a lot of experience, you don't need much practice. Relying on what I remembered from the dirt riding 25 years ago was not a recipe for success. Take time to practice. You'll become more comfortable and confident in challenging terrain. Number 3, I decided I wasn't going to change tires before starting the trip. The stock tire was certainly road-oriented and not a great off-road choice, but I figured a lot of the miles up to the Yukon would be paved. And I was right. I planned to get more aggressive off-road dirt tires when I was finally north because the majority of the roads there are dirt. Having the right tire for your environment and route is very beneficial. Number 4, solo travel is different. When you don't have your buddies there to help you out, it should change your risk calculus on what you're willing to accept and what you don't. I'm glad this first crash happened so early in the trip because it changed my thinking. Now I knew how much work it was and how much I hated standing the bike up. It was so incredibly heavy. Later, when I found some challenging terrain, I'd ask myself, do I really want to go there? This first crash was a good lesson. And if you haven't practiced picking up your bike fully loaded in soft sand by yourself, go do it. You'll see what I mean. Number 5, dirt is different than pavement. Riding your adventure bike in the dirt is a lot different than riding it on the road. Your inputs, how you control the bike needs to be different. Become comfortable and confident in making this shift back and forth between surfaces. At the time of this first crash, I was not good at making that transition smoothly enough. As a quick side note, I did consider using Mosko Moto soft bags for this trip, but I thought the security of hard cases would be a better tool while I'm living in the grizzly bear country in Alaska and the Yukon Territory for the next several months. Keeping my food in the aluminum hard cases was a deliberate decision, and I realized that I wouldn't need a separate bear-proof container. However, in the future, when I ride the backcountry discovery routes and do more off-road adventures in the lower 48 states, I'd prefer to use the Mosko Moto soft bags. This is a great example why. If I had the soft bags here, I wouldn't have bent or broke anything. I am really enjoying this landscape, the sun and amazing light here in Utah. While riding, I used the Rever app to find this BLM public land to use for the night. I picked this ridgeline for my campsite because I knew it would have a really nice view, and although it would be windier than a more protected area, I figured the wind would cut down on any flying bugs. I didn't get the crash on camera. Fortunately, it was at low speed, and I was able to get out of the way as my overloaded Sherpa fell to its side and tested the strength of the crash bars. I knew getting pinned under the bike would compound my problems. Several years ago on the Smoky Mountain 500, at one of the water crossings, my buddy laid his GS down in the water on top of himself. We watched at first, laughed a little, and thought he'd stand up in a minute and eat a fairly large piece of humble pie in front of us. But he didn't get up, because he was pinned under the bike and his leg was trapped. Fortunately, we were there to lift the bike off him, but that experience stuck with me. So on this trip, if I think I'm coming off the bike and the camera is rolling, you'll see me flying through the air because I'll be jumping off and taking my chances with a PLF roll instead of getting trapped under the bike. When you're solo motorcycle traveling, plan to be resourceful. You need to be comfortable improvising, adapting, and overcoming whatever challenges are thrown at you. It's very different when you're in a group. You can rely on the guy who's a master mechanic, the other person who is a great camp chef, and your other buddy who you will nickname Magellan because he carries and studies more maps than an actual cartographer. He has 5 different options for every route, and it's nice to have Magellan in your group. When you're riding solo, it's all up to you. Always be thinking about self-recovery. Your buddies aren't there to pull the bike off you or help you with a broken arm or leg. When you're riding solo in remote areas, think about how you can decrease the bad in a bad situation and be willing to laugh at yourself, especially when you crash the bike twice in less than 10 minutes.
I thought I would drop the bike right here because it was a pretty nice spot to camp. I'm gonna set my tent right here. Figured I'd just dump it over, which is a great way to park it. All right, let's get the tent set up. So when I was getting it unstuck, I was a little pissed and decided to give a little bit too much gas when I turned around here, lost the front end and tipped it over again. So things are going great. We're having fun here. You see the ridiculous amount of mosquitoes swarming my bike right now? Crazy. I couldn't hate them anymore right now. I think half of what you see is outside, but it's kind of a cool location. I just didn't think that there were so many mosquitoes in the desert, and I'm not very happy about it. I'm even less happy about the fact that I just dropped my bike and I bent metal, and I won't be able to leave here until I fix it tomorrow morning.
Good morning. I'm in Utah, and beautiful morning, and I have a couple days to get to Seattle. So my plan of going to Teton and Yellowstone, I'm gonna have to reassess that. May not have the ability to do several days of photography and camping in Teton and Yellowstone and still make it to Seattle on time. So I'm gonna take a look at that once I break camp and get a few miles down the road today. I had no idea, like legitimately had no idea that there were so many mosquitoes in the desert. You know, I was like, oh, there's probably not many. And I was totally wrong. I'm going to show you the number of mosquitoes that I have here. these are just the ones that are inside the tent right now. And I did a really good job when there was, I don't know, roughly 1,000 mosquitoes around me swarming last night, to move as fast as I could, come over here. I put the tent here up on a ridge line where it'd be windier and there'd be less bugs. And yeah, like, beautiful location. Really pretty. I can hear the birds this morning. Like, that's how I woke up, just by listening to the birds chirping, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it was just crazy mosquitoes, and I decided after a while to stop trying to kill them all, because these were the ones that remained. I was like, they get to live, because I'm too tired and I'm just gonna go to bed. So that was a first. That was a first. So anyways, and it actually was like a bit of a foreshadowing. It made me think about Alaska, and I've heard stories about just heinous numbers of mosquitoes and flying bugs, and I was like, oh, so this is what it's going to be like, huh? Okay, I'm like, my motivation did drop a little bit, just to be honest. I was like, that sucks. I hate them. I actually hate mosquitoes. So we'll I'm just gonna have to deal with that, right? I'm just gonna have to deal with that and move forward. I'm gonna get out of the bag here and break the tent down, put everything away. I have a little bit of work to do on the motorcycle this morning, which includes bending some metal back into place when I bent it out of place yesterday. So hopefully that won't be too difficult, and maybe the mosquitoes outside that were swarming went to a different zip code and I can do this in peace, but I'm not so sure about that. We'll go ahead and get started and see how this plays out. All right. Wow, that sun is amazing. I just spent some time trying to bend back the metal bracket that holds the panniers, the side box, on to the left side of the motorcycle, and I think that I got it. It's aluminum, so I was able to bend it quite a bit. I'm going to show you what it looks like here. The afterwards. This right here was just folded down. You can tell it's still not straight. It's not straight, but I think it's straight enough to get on the motorcycle, and I'm hoping that the metallurgists and the smart guys in Bavaria who built the motorcycle, and actually, I had heard that these are TourTech panniers. So here's a quick test for the TourTech pannier. I learned that. I bought them from BMW. They're the original BMW boxes. And you look inside, and it's like made by TourTech. I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. I'm gonna go put those back on and see if they fit. Well, I know they fit. I just don't know if the bracket will work. All right, I'm happy right now. I just was able to test that left pannier, and I'll show you. It's working right there. Got it locked in position. It's good. So, and I fixed that with the Leatherman. Just a bunch of small movements, bending the aluminum back. It was folded in half, so it was like a 90-degree rotation, and just a bunch of really small, slow, methodical movements, adjustments, and got it done. So super excited that that's back on there. Now I can break camp down and get back on the road. Like yesterday, I was legitimately pissed. I haven't even had the bike is new. I've had it for less than 90 days, and to bend the first thing, to drop it. I knew I was going to drop it. That didn't bother me. To bend metal, that bothered me. And so to be able to fix it and get it back right, you know, this morning before the sun's up too far is pretty awesome. So I'm excited, and I'm in much better spirits today. I didn't want to talk very much last night, just because like my bad attitude was going to come straight at you. It was just like a miserable mind space, and I just needed to like deal with that. Plus with like the mosquitoes and everything inside of my tent and outside, I was just like pissy. So I'm good now. I've had a chance to like kind of recenter, refocus, get that done, get the stuff done behind me, and get on the road and have a good attitude. Have a great day. I'm looking forward to a great day. All right.
Preparation, risk assessment, and riding within one's limits are great ways to avoid crashing. When you have a setback like a crash, how do you respond? Dedication and determination will be hugely valuable when it happens to you. Your journey will have setbacks, but how you respond to those setbacks is what you'll remember. After this crash, I could tell there was an emotional toll. Yes, there was frustration, but there was even more determination.
I think I'm gonna take some pictures here before I leave. It's pretty nice. I had just said that I was gonna take some photographs because the sun was like real low and it was looking cool, and like the horde of mosquitoes must have heard me, because they immediately all came to life while I was trying to get the bags loaded on the bike. They're swarming me right now. I busted out the head net. This is not the right type of hat for it. I need something that comes around, you know, and keeps it off, because they're destroying the back of my head right now. But we'll get that. So instead of cleaning my visor and cleaning the lenses and swapping out batteries and everything else right now, or even taking pictures, I'm gonna get out of this mosquito infested, I was gonna say hellhole, but it's actually, it's pretty. It's really pretty, it's beautiful. It's just miserable with these bugs. So I'm out of here.
As I move forward in the coming weeks and months in this adventure, I'll take the lessons from this crash and apply them. Perseverance is important, but so is learning from our mistakes. I encourage you all to embrace challenges and pursue your dreams. Don't let setbacks crush your dreams. Keep getting back up, push forward, and don't quit. Coming up, a great route into Jackson Hole and Teton National Park. Then a quick run through Yellowstone National Park and over one of my top 5 favorite roads in the lower 48, often ranked by motorcycle riders as the best road in the US, the famous Beartooth Highway. Thanks for watching. I'm glad you're here joining me for the ride.